I'm gonna kind of survey the crowd and see what you would most like to hear about, because we have a lot of content and I know that we can't get through all of it thoroughly. I know I've talked to a few of y'all at the beginning, and some of you are pre-professional, like pre-med. I have several sophomores, juniors. I met one senior somewhere. So can I just see, like, and have an idea of, like, who would rather hear about grad school and who would rather hear about job search and resume, or a little bit of both? Anyone? Let's see hands for grad school. Okay, let's see hands for job search / resume. Okay, we'll go for a little bit of both. That's no problem. We can do things quickly. I have little prizes for y'all to participate, because I know it's the end of the day on a rainy Monday, so just be aware, if you're engaged, make it a prize. Okay, so this is my family. We all have our own different definition of success, so this is mine. You know, there's a shoe in the background, that's my kids, we're a little disheveled, but it's okay, everybody's kind of in the picture and looking, so it's a success for me. What do y'all find the most intimidating about planning for the future? Yes, ma'am.
Just in general, like, all those good have a plan, no matter how much you plan. Life is full of
Life is full of curveballs. So here's a stress reliever. Anyone else? I'll just click through my little. Maybe this one. Okay, we avoid making decisions because, one, maybe we don't know where to start. We want others to think we have it all together. I know, especially with high achievers like y'all, it seems like I get a lot of honors college folks who are feeling like they're the only person who's not sure their next step, and that's not the case. Y'all all secretly have doubts, or, you know, don't know everything, and that's okay. You're not supposed to. It is sometimes overwhelming to think about, because it seems like there's just a never-ending task list when you're thinking about future planning. So we just want to let y'all know that you're not alone and that we're here to help you. We are happy to work with you to create an individualized plan for wherever you are. So if you're not sure about the next steps for your future, or you're kind of looking both directions at grad school and at the workforce, we're happy to help meet you where you are. One piece of advice that we give to students is to build their own personal advisory board. So that should include people who you trust and who you think want the best for you. So they can include professors, mentors. We have a great mentor network with over 1,000 alums who've said that they want to help invest in college students and recent grads. So it's just baylor.edu/mentor. You can get on there and find yourself someone who's in med school, who's in the industry that you're interested in, who has a degree in English, and see what they're doing. So all different kinds of ways you can connect with them, and just get advice from someone who's kind of a little bit further down the road than you. Of course, we would love to contribute to your advisory board, but we encourage you to get advice from your parents as well, and other people who've kind of gone the road before you and know you best. Also, we have so many resources at Baylor. Baylor is resource rich. So we just want you to take advantage of all that we have to offer. Every semester we offer a salary negotiation workshop, comes with a free dinner. You just come and learn how to negotiate a better salary. Everybody's gonna, at some point, if they're going to work, is going to have to negotiate for a salary, so, or take what someone offers them, which would be maybe less than they could get. So we would encourage you to attend a salary negotiation workshop. We set up panels for all different types of majors and all different types of opportunities. Lots of online resources and many services that you can take advantage of by logging into your Handshake account and signing up for an appointment or just stopping by our office. So I'm going to go quickly through resumes. Who can tell me what's the purpose of a resume for a lovely little notepad? Anyone? Oh, yes, ma'am.
It's to show your skills and the qualifications you have for
Yeah,
where-
showcase yourself. It's really a marketing piece, right? And the end goal of every resume is to get you a job or get you into grad school. It has a purpose, right? So we're gonna quickly just kind of talk through the components of resumes. Your resume is basically the main opportunity that you have. A lot of times your resume goes places you cannot go or will not get to go. So it's the only picture they have, so you have to decide what kind of picture you want it to represent. We have some general resume advice for you. Number one is do not use templates. We love the beautiful templates that you can find online, but the thing with templates is a lot of resume softwares that you upload your resume into will see that template as a picture or a table, and it won't read the content. And the way resume software works is that the software reads the job description and reads the resumes and tries to find a match. So if it sees your resume as a picture, it's not reading your content. So we recommend you don't use templates. And you proofread, of course. There is an exception for pictures. If it's a bona fide occupational qualification, like you're going to be a news anchor, then that would be a reason why you would put a picture of yourself. Also, a lot of ministry applications require a picture. But for the most part, most of the careers I've heard y'all mention, you would not include a picture. And you don't want to include anything that any personal information that someone could use to find you. So like if you're putting a resume online on LinkedIn or something, you don't want to put your address and say, this is my picture and where you can come and find me. So just be aware of that. I mean, it sounds funny, but people do it all the time because you just don't think about it. So when it comes to, this is kind of like a one-size-fits-all resume, which is hard to do since there's so many different careers represented. So like a graphic design major, we would encourage you maybe to use less standard, boring stuff. But for the general population, stick with black, use a standard typeface, avoid tables, and use chronological formatting. We're happy to work with you to create a resume that makes the most sense for you. The best resume is a tailored resume, which means you don't use the same resume to apply to like your marketing internship at SpaceX as you would to apply to a news editor position. So just keep that in mind. We are happy to help you design resumes that are kind of targeted for your employers. So just component by component, and I'll go through this quickly so that we can move on to grad school. But your heading will be the first section. Then there's two optional sections, the objective or the summary. An objective is useful for like career fairs or places where you're passing the same resume out to a bunch of people so you can let them know the types of jobs you're interested in. And then a summary is like you just highlight, you can use a bulleted list or a statement that summarizes your intent and your skills and qualifications. So you don't use both, you have to pick whether you want an objective or a summary. And it's optional, so you don't have to have either one. Here's a sample one, straight to the point, but it gives them information like summer internship, HR, using my skills. And here's a summary. They're just talking about bulleted points. So demonstrated leader, experience in customer service, bilingual. The education section. In this section, you're always going to put your current degree or your highest degree first. So if you're in a dual degree program, like your master's, even if you don't have your master's yet, if you're in a dual degree program, like Masters of Accounting and then Bachelors of Accounting are going to be together. And then it's gonna have the day you graduate, even if it's in the future. You don't have to say anticipated or expected or hopefully or anything like that. Just because it's in the future, they know it's anticipated. And you don't need a date range, so you don't have to put like December or August of 20, whatever. No ranges required. So I know it says do not include high school, and by the time you graduate, you should not include high school. You should have enough on your resume. There are some exceptions. Some people went to really prestigious high schools that would be recognized by certain people, and you can use your judgment on that if you feel like that's really important to you. The main rule is, the rule of thumb is don't include high school. If you're a freshman, that's really all you have to put. I mean, you'll still put your Bachelor of Science degree ahead of it, but you may include activities or things from high school because this is your first semester at Baylor. You're probably getting involved, but maybe not super involved yet. Like if you transferred 3 hours from a community college or something like that, there's no need to put that on your resume. It'll be on your transcript, so you don't have to put every college you ever went to. If you do have a degree from another college, you're certainly welcome to include that. These are a few other things that people put in their education. Honors program, study abroad, dean's list. A lot of times, by the time y'all get to be later in your tenure here at Baylor, you'll find that you have like 7 semesters of dean lists, and sometimes people will try to write out each semester like fall 2016. So you can just summarize that like dean's list, 7 semesters. You don't have to write each semester that you were on the dean's list. Does anybody have questions about the education section of a resume? Or resumes in general? Okay, the next section is just going to include work experience. Sometimes if you don't have direct experience in the job that you're looking for, it's okay to have like a relevant skills section or an experience, like a relevant experience section that moves your most important stuff to the top, and then your other work experience can be lower on the page. You'll just use bulleted lists, not like long paragraphs to describe what you did. Reverse chronological bulleted lists. We encourage you to use numbers or quantify. So for example, instead of saying, like, I, handled the cash at the restaurant, you might say, like, you handled average daily receipts of $1,200 or something like that, just to give them an idea of what you did there. Leadership is always a good idea. Some people think that things that are on their resume are only paid experiences. And I just want you to know that all of your skills, all of your projects, all of these things you're doing in classes counts. And if that's what's your most marketable asset, then I would definitely include it on your resume. So don't limit yourself by what you've gotten paid to do and you only worked at Steel City Pops or something like that. There's plenty of research and things that can be added to your resume. We can help you build that out too. We encourage you not to put like, I can use Microsoft Word, because most college students can, but list things that people would search for or that's listed in a job description. Foreign language skills, interpersonal skills, all great things to have on your resume. We would encourage you to come on by. You can make an appointment, or we have walk-in hours every day except Friday, where you can just come in without an appointment and see one of us. I think it's 11 to 1 on Monday and Thursday, and 2 to 4 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then I'll pull up grad school real fast. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the basics with grad school. These are just the differences. There's gonna be a lot smaller class size. You're gonna be doing original research. There's gonna be greater expectations. For some, graduate school is not as great of a payoff as for other areas, so just kind of be aware and do your research ahead of time. You know, it may not pay a ton for you to get a master's in journalism as it would, say, you know, if you were getting a master's in mechanical engineering or something like that. So just keep in mind that sometimes the pay difference between a bachelor's and a master's isn't huge. These are national salaries, so not necessarily based on Texas or local graduates, but just kind of take a look at what the salary survey says to take that into consideration as to whether you are interested in going to grad school. Questions to ask yourself. Why do you want to attend grad school? For some careers, like if you're planning on being a speech pathologist or a social worker, you need a master's to be licensed in your field, so it would make sense for you to plan on going to grad school. For others, it doesn't always make good sense to go to grad school, especially if your end goal is still unclear. So I've had a lot of math majors come into me this month and say, I know I'm supposed to go to grad school, but I really don't know what I would study other than just math. And so that's not a great reason to go to grad school. And we would really encourage you to kind of think through what you want to do when you finish grad school, rather than just going to school because you're supposed to go to school. Does anybody have questions? Sorry, I feel like I'm kind of flying through this. So here are some ways to do some research and look into schools that might be a good fit for you. Petersons.com is a really good website where you can look at schools based on your program. So if you're interested in graduate school in environmental studies, you can pull up all the environmental studies programs in the whole country, or you can narrow it down just by state or just by your GRE score. And it'll show you the programs that you qualify for. It'll tell you the application deadline, the acceptance rate, which can be helpful to know, like there's only a 16% acceptance rate at this school and an 83% at this school. Another great tool is gradschoolmatch.com. That one kind of uses an algorithm, asks you some questions, and matches you with programs. You really need to know what you want to study specifically to get a good match on that. So if you know you want to go into higher education and student affairs, then that's a good website to help you find the right school for you. But if you're like, I don't know anything in forensic science, then it might not be the best fit for you. So here's some factors to consider when looking at graduate school or professional school. The reputation of the faculty, quality of program. Can anybody think of other things that you would want to think about? Yes, ma'am.
Maybe like apartments that are available.
Housing, yes,
Yeah.
for sure. I'll save you a prize.
How long the program's gonna take?
Oh, yes, the program length, that's a good one. I would also say like relationships, sometimes that's not on there, but you know, if you want to be close to family or a significant other, then that's something that you'll have to consider. Are we both going to get into a school in this part of the country? The next thing we'll talk about is paying for grad school. So grad school is a little bit different than professional school in this way, because so professional school is like law school, medical school. There's not what we call assistantships in law school and medical school typically, but in grad school there is. So an assistantship waives your tuition. So while you're in grad school, you work either by teaching a class, by doing research, or by working in an office just called there's a teaching assistantship, a graduate assistantship, which would be like working in administrative office, or a research assistantship. All of those would waive your tuition fee so that you can go to grad school without incurring new debt. You do get a living stipend. You're not going to get rich being a grad assistant, but at least you won't be incurring new debt. There's also fellowships. Those pay you to do research, but don't pay for your tuition necessarily. So it'd just be like you get $2,000 a month to do research, something like that. The other forms of financial aid are all similar to undergraduate. So grants, loans, scholarships. You can look for scholarships the same way you did for your undergrad and qualify for them. Baylor has a website. It's baylor.edu/SFF, like Student Financial Foundations, and there's a scholarship finder on there. So that can be helpful while you're here at school and also in your graduate studies. And I can email that to y'all if you'd like. So here is a generic timeline for applying. And if you're already past your junior year, it's okay. This can all be made up for. But in an ideal world, your junior year is the time when you start researching grad programs, looking at specializations. What do I need to do to qualify for entering grad school? Do I need a 3.0? Do I need a 3.5? What kind of GRE score am I looking at? Do they require the GRE? That kind of thing. Looking at the career outcomes, that's what we just call, like, where do they go after they study at your school? Do they go into work? Do they continue on PhD programs? That kind of thing. We would also encourage you to look at the types of financial aid that's awarded at the school so that you don't find yourself with a huge amount of debt at the end. Let's see. Then, right now, if you're a senior and you're going to grad school, is the time when you start taking the entrance exams, narrowing down who's going to get your exam scores, or making a short list of the schools that you'll be attending, and then identifying all the deadlines. So sometimes they'll say, your application's due this day and all your reference letters are due by this day. Or financial aid deadline sometimes is before the actual application deadline. So you want to be sure and, apply in time to get financial aid award if that's something that you would like to receive. Any questions about the timeline? We're happy to work with you individually and help you set your own timeline and help you manage, like, applying to 7 or 8 schools or however many schools you decide to apply to, so that you don't miss deadlines, rolling applications, that kind of thing. Basically, we encourage you to create a personal timeline. Right now, if you were a senior, would be the time when you'd be writing a personal statement. Personal statement's basically like the admissions essay. What do you want to do? What's prepared you for this, to be in our graduate program? That kind of thing. I think I have another slide on personal statement. This is just all the components of the application. So fees can vary widely from, no fee to apply. A lot of them are only $30, but then if you're applying to, like, occupational